Today, we are not live. We are recording for our guest, who is a most wonderful musician, and he uses very unusual instruments. And I think for our audience, you are particularly attractive. Just so you know, his name is Matt Venuti. He goes under Matt Venuti Music, which you can find, I believe, on Spotify. Can they find it on Apple too?
Yeah, all your favorite streaming services, even the ones that are ripping off artists by having AI music on their platform. All of
Oh no.
those.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I understand about
All
the
right, a
whole
little
AI
cynical
thing.
sometimes when it comes to Spotify, but I am on Spotify, and yes, yes.
Yeah, I think that's where I downloaded your music from. And Matt was very pleasant to allow us to use some of his music for an event that we were doing. And I was so appreciative of that because it was perfect. Absolutely perfect. So, are you on tour right now? You had just
No, in the
finished a
moment I'm
tour.
not. No, I'm not. I'm back from a tour that had me leave New York State in February of this year, and I just got back about a month ago. So
You,
I did about 55 performances.
wow.
Mm, yeah, that was a small tour. Usually I go out west where I lived for 30 years in San Francisco, and this was the first year since really the mid 80s that I hadn't been to California. I just made a conscious decision to break in more on the East Coast, and I just moved back in this area about 5, 6 years ago. And after, during COVID, I was on tour and everything canceled. So I decided that I was going to come back to my home area, which is the Finger Lakes region of New York State, and use this more of a headquarters. And this is where I spend most of my time. I have a music studio here, and then I'll be on the road. I'll be on the road again in October. In fact, I'll be down in Virginia,
Yay.
so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, so
If you let us know when you're coming to Virginia, we can certainly help you promote that. Because do you
great.
know where you're going to be when you're here? You're going to be in Charlottesville, Richmond?
Yeah, I'll probably be in both places. I'm still trying to work out the details. I'm already booked in a few places in North Carolina and then in the Athens, Georgia area, and I'm kind of filling in the blanks right now. So yeah,
Hmm, that's so exciting.
yeah,
I will tell you because I noticed on your website, and I think I've seen you advertise this when I'm on my Facebook page, but you have been in observatories where you have a whole cosmic galaxy behind you and you do music with that. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
sure. It was more of planetariums and observatories, but they're kind of connected. Uh, but yes, I have a show called the Americosmos Experience, where I have, over the years have shot video while I'm on tour mostly in beautiful nature areas. And I was the artist in residence in some of the national parks, including Shenandoah, and
Yay.
the Everglades and other places. But I've taken some beautiful visuals, and a friend of mine a couple of years ago suggested that I did with these visuals. I made music videos out of them, and he suggested that maybe I do a live soundtrack in his theater using some of the visuals. And so I put together a reel of some of my favorite visuals, and I did a live soundtrack to it. So that's what started the whole process. That was a few years ago. And then I decided to go into space because I have a very much of affinity toward all things space, which we can talk about later if you like. And so I made it the Americosmos experience. So it's visuals from the United States, and then it goes up into space. And now I'm working on, in the moment, in fact, it's already booked in several places, something called Sonic Cosmos, which is all space. And so I'll
Wow.
be doing that in some of the. I do it in a planetarium down in Florida, Bradenton, and I'll be seeking out other planetarium performances for next year for sure, and possibly for later this year too.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
Um, that's absolutely incredible. I'm
yeah. I
sure
mean,
Virginia I
go
think
ahead.
Virginia has several planetariums. I'd like to get you in one of them
Well,
here.
you
I'd
just go
love to
right
do
ahead and
that.
do that. I always love it when people open a door for me. I'm the closer. I'm good at closing, but if you want to open a door, you're very feel free to
I
do
will
that.
I will try to do that for you because I think you should be down here. That's what I think.
Absolutely.
So that's so exciting. How much time you like in the course of a year? How much time you spend on the road? And is that really difficult to be on the road so much?
Well, it's wonderful in some ways and difficult in others, just like anything really. But maybe not everything, but lots of things. I love being on the road. I'm usually on the road about 5 months out of the year, uh, and I love just sharing my music. So to me, it's it's a greater sense of purpose for what I'm doing. If I'm here in the Finger Lakes, I'm usually either booking shows, doing promo, or recording, or just working out some new stuff, doing video editing for my shows. So I have plenty to do. But when I'm on the road, it's mostly just about uh, focusing on getting to where I need to go and dealing with the wonders of being on the road. All
Oh,
that
that should
driving,
be.
it's mostly driving. I rarely fly because it takes so much with me. I mean, if I have a one-off gig and I'm playing in California somewhere, then I will fly. But generally speaking, I load up my van that has a Thule luggage top on it, and I load all my stuff, and I go. Yeah.
I noticed that you use things like tongue drums and I don't know all of the names of those kind of instruments. You want to talk about that a little bit? How you came to find instruments that are quite unusual in so many regards?
Um, yeah, I never went out looking for any of them. They all just kind of came to me as kind of sounds a little bit new agey, but they found me in a sense. Uh, when I grew up playing the piano and I played the trumpet for a few years, a number of years, and then I walked into a club in Boston and I saw a guy named Mike Matheny playing this amazing instrument called an electronic valve instrument. And
Wow.
yeah, and you blow into it and you can play any sound with amazing breath expression. And it kind of opened up a whole world for me because now, instead of playing, single, trumpet notes, I could play chords, I could play any kind of a sound with breath expression. And that really appealed to me because I don't know, I'm kind of into the synthesizer world. And so this was a great marriage between, you know, the world of being a trumpet player because it's trumpet fingering and then bringing in all these other elements. And so I use this with a looper and I can create any kind of kind of ensemble sound. I can put down bass lines. I can put down, string sounds. I mean, sometimes it can sound like a John Williams soundtrack, and it's all pretty much just off the cuff. Oftentimes, I'm just improvising. So that was one, instrument that came into my life, and then I started doing clinics for the company that tried to mass produce them. So I was flying around the country doing demonstrations for it, and this was in the kind of early '80s. And
Wow.
the instrument never really took off in a commercial way, and so the company stopped making it, but the original maker kept making it, and I kept buying his, and I stayed in touch with him. And then a new person in town named Johan Berglund from Sweden took over the rights to be able to make a new generation of the instrument. So this is the Berglund electronic valve instrument, much,
Wow.
very similar in some ways to the original Niles Steiner electronic valve instruments, but this one it's a more digital and has a lot more features, which are a lot of fun to play. I mean, I wish we had better recording, for this type of thing. I could show you some stuff. Maybe I will later if we want to try something, but
That
uh,
would be great.
I have a
Okay,
question.
well.
Does the breath make the noise sound unique, or is it the same
Well,
for?
yeah, again, it does. It adds, kind of velocity sensitivity, and it brings the volume up and down, and it changes the timbre of the sounds in a lot of ways. It depends on how it's all programmed.
Hmm.
But yes, there are many ways to deal with the sound and the velocity of the wind as it goes into the mouthpiece. So it's a fascinating instrument. And when I was playing with my band members will attest to this. We play all these kind of performances, and everybody would be rushing up, and these poor, amazing guitar players in my band, or they're all incredible musicians, but everybody was so intrigued with my instrument. They're always saying, "What is that you're playing?" So we got kind of a reputation for this guy who was playing this strange sci-fi instrument. So I was getting all these gigs for Google and Apple and Microsoft and all these new startups that were happening because this instrument was so kind of high tech that they liked the idea, since these were high tech companies, to hire this band that was playing this high tech instrument. And my band members were playing other kind of high tech stuff too. A few of them. One guy, Daniel Berkman, playing the kora, which is an amazing, kind of African harp type of instrument, and he was playing a lot of electronics too. A guitar player was playing, guitar synthesizer, and well, we had a lot of different kind of really cool instruments in the band, and I still play with them on occasion. So that opened a whole door to many different types of performances, including, a lot of these high tech sci-fi events, and like there were Star Trek conventions,
Oh,
and we
yes.
would get things for those, and there'd be the original Klingons, and Leonard Nimoy would be there, and it's like all these. Then I got this great gig with George Lucas. He was doing this prequel for the Star Wars prequel back in the year 2000, I guess it was around there, and so
Wow.
the opening night was at the Regency Ballroom, and we were the band that kind of stood in for the Cantina band. So, we were
Wow.
playing all that kind of cool, da, ba, 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 da, do, and we were dressed up like Martians and all that. So we kind of rode that scene for a while, and so some time went by, and I started to want something new in my life. I'm giving you the long answer that you asked about the instruments. And so somebody had told me about this instrument that they saw at Burning Man. And they described it to me. They said, it looks like a spaceship. You put it on your lap and you play it with your hands. And I immediately said, well, that's my new instrument. And I had no idea even what it was, but I just knew by the way they described it. They didn't even know the name of the instrument. And it was so new that there was not really an easy way to even find out about it. But, I kept asking and kept inquiring, and the layers came down, and the instrument was called a hung, Hang, and it came from two people in Bern, Switzerland. They invented
Wow.
this. They invented this lenticular-shaped instrument that you put on your lap, and you play it with your hands. And this is the very first of its kind. You mentioned tongue drum. Well, tongue drum is, it's kind of in a sense a distant relative because they all came from the hung, Hang, the instrument from Bern, Switzerland, invented by two people, Sabina, it's Felix and Sabina. They live on the banks of the River, Felix Roner, Sabina Scherer. And so they invented this instrument, and all these other instruments started to, come around after that. I think there's like 500 or more instrument makers making things like the hung, but the hung is its own thing. And I was very fortunate to be one of the first people to get one of these. This opened up a whole new world for me. I was looking for something new, and I didn't know quite how to integrate it with my band. And it's not really a great instrument for playing in an ensemble because you really want there to be a quiet, kind of setting, and an attentive audience in a sense. So I didn't know exactly how to do. So I started to try to bring it into my band, but it's really so full of nuance that you lose all of that in an ensemble situation. But I did my best. I mic'd it in certain ways, and the band would have to tone down when I played, and but they were very, very good about that. But over time, I started to realize, this is more of a solo instrument. You really want to play it in a quiet environment and so I started to bring it into those kinds of places. And I'm going to shut this window because for some reason we're getting a barrage of helicopters. Maybe there's some kind of a thing going on in the lake. Who knows? Anyway, so my wife of 20 years, a yoga teacher in San Francisco, she passed away at the end of our 20th year together. So
Oh,
there was a kind of a major shift in my life and how I was going to approach music. I didn't really feel the same energy behind the band. So I kind of started to segue into more solo stuff. And even before I went into that, I would just take it out into nature and just, what I call download motifs and just play, these beautiful little motifs that were coming to me. And I felt like it was almost coming from her because she was a big nature lover. And so that changed everything. It shifted everything in my life. And so I started on this journey of just, you know, expressing myself from that different place, from a place of of feeling the grief and wanting to feel my heart, and then from feeling more of a fullness in my heart and wanted to share that with other people who are going through difficult times. And it didn't even have to be from losing someone, just the difficulty of being a human on this earth. We all have to deal with even our own mortality eventually. So I felt like, well, there's something here. There's something of a healing that I can do with this music, which I always felt that a need to want to do, even in the days of just playing with my band. I always felt like the music can be a transport into something, to incite something, excite something in the body and in the mind and the heart, to open something. And now with this instrument, I felt like I could do that. And I brought the electronic valve instrument back in because I started to play it in a different way. I started to play it in a way that brought an ambience, a more expansive, way to bring in the hung and to bring in all these other instruments. I play with these Himalayan bowls and with these other instruments called waves that a friend of mine invented that he gave to me. So, suddenly I realized I'm of the first people to play the EVI, of the first to play the hung, of the first to play the waves. And I'm like, why is this happening for me? I didn't look for these instruments. They kind of landed on my lap in a sense. Well, I guess with the hung, I was looking for it, but it just I was, one of the first people to get it. And they were very difficult to get. So I realized it's for this reason, for me to bring it into the world, and to share it and to share a story and share the music and share the visuals and bring people hopefully into a more elevated space in their hearts. And yeah, so that's the
I,
long answer.
I love the long answer, and I love the fact that you're using music to heal people or let them heal themselves, however you want to look
Yeah,
at
I don't
that.
I
But
don't I don't consider myself a healer per se. I think that the music has the ability to
it does.
penetrate, and sound has the ability to penetrate in a certain way that may bring a more expansiveness into someone where they can, feel a deeper connection to their heart, a quieter mind, a more sense of freedom or an elevation of their soul, if they believe that. And so that's my journey, and that's my ministry in a sense, or my mission.
I like it. I suspect that when you're in a group with people listening to your music, it has to feel more intimate to you to do this kind of music with no matter how many people are with you, but to because it's a more intimate type of music. It's more personal, sort of.
Yeah, yeah,
Seems to me like
yes.
so.
The intimate events whether there's 30 people or 300 people, or more. It really it doesn't matter as long as the setting is where it's quiet and there's not a lot of external noises. And I played in festivals where there's even 1,000 people or more. My band used to play for these big events, and we played for 60,000 people in an event in
Wow.
Golden Gate Park. I mean, it was that's a whole different vibe, because I'm playing the electronic valve instrument, I'm singing, and I'm not playing the instruments that are really based in nuance. But now it's a completely different story. So I kind of shy away from events that, I mean, I don't even go looking for them. I'm really more interested in events with a, kind of a captive audience that are yeah, in quieter environments. A planetarium is a great environment for that. A theater is a great environment for that. Even a yoga studio or an art center, retreat centers. There are many different churches. There's many different kinds of venues where I perform, where people are experiencing the nuance, and that's where it all comes from first.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. If someone wanted to book you, for example, for one of these lovely smaller or more intimate venues, where would we look for you? How would we get a hold of you?
Well, you can go to my website, mattvenuti.com, and maybe you'll leave that on your podcast and your wherever you leave it, and you'll find a contact, and it'll go right to me.
Excellent. That's great. So that will give people the opportunity to really see what you do and how well you do it. I think you're unique in the world for your music. I really do. And it's exciting to me because I know that music can change a person's life, can change their world. And when you can touch them in the way that you do, in kind of this quiet, subtle way, it's amazing what that can do to help heal people, hearts, minds, emotions, all of that. It really can help.
Absolutely. Well, and you can attest for it from your own experience, and for me too. I've heard music that just completely changed my mood, and when I do these kinds of performances, I usually leave feeling more elevated myself. Whereas I've had played some gigs where, back in the day, where I'd come home and I just ruminate and just feel like, that wasn't authentic. That didn't feel good. There was something about it that just didn't feel right. So I feel like I'm on the right path with what I'm doing now, and hopefully it continues to evolve.
It will. I really believe it will. I mean, that's what happens. Everything grows organically as it's supposed to. I really believe that. And even in my life, I've had experiences with grief where I ended up at a concert and I couldn't believe how much the music healed that process of grief. So you're helping a lot of people, even if you don't know it, even if you don't have a clue who's watching you, where they're seeing you and they're
Well,
hearing your music, and it's helping them. I have no doubt about it.
yeah, well, thank you. I don't want to make it sound like I'm a doctor or a therapist in some ways,
No,
but
it's not.
I'm a
It's not.
musician. I'm really just a musician who's, I mean, I wouldn't even call myself I mean, I wouldn't call it new age or positive music. I mean, I do Frank Zappa covers on occasion. I mean, I'm kind of all over the map when I do a concert. That's not just what I'm doing with Music and Sound Alchemy, which is one of my performances, or with Americosmos, or with Sonicosmos, which is my new performance with all the space visuals. There's a lot of difference between all of them, and but I want to give people a good feeling. Period. Uh, you know, whether they're leaving just singing lyrics to a song or just feeling more elevated in their heart, I want them to have a positive experience for sure. uh, so
I think you're achieving that. I'm pretty sure you are. I
well,
believe you are.
thank you.
See, I'm your number one fan. I told
You
you.
are well, I'm here.
Alina, did you have questions for Matt?
You answered a lot of the questions I was going to ask you already, but so I'm curious. Besides nature, what inspires you when you feel stuck?
Oh, well, besides nature, what inspires me besides nature? Well, nature is a major inspiration for me.
Mm,
uh, I'm inspired by the the cosmic element of life itself. When I consider that we're on this little tiny dot of a ball, hurling through space, and we are so, in some ways, just completely insignificant, yet completely part of a bigger whole, which is, consciousness itself, you know, the quantum entanglement, as people are talking about quite a bit now, how we are completely connected to everything. That completely inspires me, which is why I love the idea, and not just the idea, but the implementation of doing this new show called Sonic Cosmos, because it starts from, a human like myself, in a quiet place, and suddenly, popping out of their reality and merging with the cosmos, which I believe we all truly are at our basic element. We are part of, we are stardust, as this song says. We are part of this cosmic consciousness, this wholeness of what reality is. And what is reality? I mean, these questions inspire me because I'm always on the quest to learn more about this. And I had some experiences in my life that haven't happened recently, but they used to happen quite a bit, where I'd be laying down in bed and I'd have this experience where I was in a half dream state and I'd feel this throbbing start to come through my body. This noise and started to come through, and my head would start to hear this whooshing sound. And suddenly I'd find myself outside of my body and just kind of hovering. And then I'd be kind of scared and I'd come back in and I'd get fully awake. It's like, what was that? But over time, I started to trust it more and more. And I started to breathe into it more and more and just let it go more and more. And as the more I let go, the further away from my body I would get, until I was actually in space, just totally part of that whole. And there was no drugs involved.
No, I've
So,
Really
had that
weird.
experience myself. We
okay.
understand, believe me, we
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. So, and when I started doing journey work, which is with psychedelic substances, these things would just happen during the journey. And I was like, wow, I've been here before. But, and it was a different kind of quality when you're doing it with the psychoactive substances. And this was all in, groups with, bona fide therapists, where you're laying down and, you're taking the psychoactive substance and you're allowing the substance to take you where you need to go from an inward place.
Mhm.
And so I started doing that for a number of years. And then I started doing, kind of co facilitating and doing the music for it. So these were very wonderful and inspirational elements that have kind of guided my music in a certain way too. So I would say that my experiences with psychoactive substances were a major element into where my music is right now. And,
If you had
the experience, and also the experiences that kind of came naturally from leaving my body during these interesting experiences, kind of in the half dream state.
Do you still do that was my question. Do you still do that? Do you still have the experience without the psychedelics? Is there a
I
difference?
haven't had it in a while. I haven't had it. I gotta say, it's been probably a good maybe year or two since that's happened to me, but it happened, kind of more on a regular basis, almost like once or twice a week. I would have these experiences, and I just started to enjoy them rather than be completely freaked out from it. The first time it happened to me, I was out in nature camping by myself, and it
Oh,
was completely wild, because there was no room to be, kind of enclosed in. Suddenly I'm just popped out, and then, I popped in pretty quick again. So I know for a lot of people it might sound strange. I remember when Shirley MacLaine made this kind of pronouncement back in, I don't know, when was it, the 80s or
the
70s?
80s. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was in the
And
80s.
everybody was like, kind of used her as a kind of a example of a crackpot. But I was like, you know what? I've had these experiences too, Shirley. But she talked about it, and since then I've heard other people talk about it, and you guys too, huh? Tell me about your
Yes.
experiences.
Well,
Well, go ahead,
no,
sweetie. Go
you
ahead.
you have a lot more than I don't really have the experience like you.
All my life, from the time I was a little kid, I would leave my body and go places. And I didn't know that other people didn't do that. I just thought it was normal for everybody, you know? And we lived in the country, and the only place we ever went was church. So the church was kind of like a mile or so across some fields as a crow flies, and I would go to church. And it was always shocking to me that when I got to church in the middle of the night, because it always happened at night when I was in this condition, that there was nobody at church because I was a little kid and I just assumed that the lights were always on and that there were always people there. Well, guess what? They weren't. So that was kind of a surprise. And then, all my life I've done that. And then one day I figured out that hey, other people have this too. Like Ingo Swann was one of those people, and they talk about remote viewing and all of that kind of thing. But this, an OBEs, out of body experience, I found out that many cultures, not this one, but Tibetans and the people in India and people in China and people in Japan, they have this experience and it's kind of normal for them. They don't think it's weird. But poor Shirley MacLaine, when she opened that can of worms up, she thought she might lose her career. If you read her book, she talks about how much feedback or pushback she got from her experiences. And I believed every word of it because I knew she was telling the truth, absolutely the truth. So I
Yeah.
think it's very common that this happens. All you really have to do is get comfortable and allow yourself, to go, and wherever you think is where you go. And I've been out to space too. I kind of like it out there.
Well, very good. I'm glad to know I'm not alone in this conversation.
You are not alone in this conversation. I tell you something very funny though. I'm afraid of heights. I'm like terrified of heights, and I was out of my body over the earth, way over the earth. And I looked down and went, oh my God, I'm going to crash and die. And then I heard this voice say, you're not. You're not in your body. So that's not going to happen. So calm down. But it was just kind of funny because I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. If you don't have a body, that doesn't happen, does it? If you're just out floating around, you don't have to worry about
You
crashing.
don't
And
have to worry about crap. I'm sure of that.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I always thought that was kind of funny. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I don't have to worry about that.
Well, good. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, it's
Lena, did
just
you
this.
have any experiences? No?
For me, when I was a kid, I just remember flying over my neighborhood constantly, so much that when I was awake, I would run and try to fly because I knew I could do it and I didn't understand why it didn't work. The older I got, the less it happened. So, but it's gonna come again someday.
There you go. Yeah. It's kind of fun, isn't it?
It's very fun.
Yeah.
I think your music in particular is for me. It's always sounds like the quartz crystal bowls and things that I've meditated with for many many years. They'll put me out in a second, just in a second. It doesn't take very long. It's because I've always used those sounds to get out, and it's almost instantaneous. And your music is like that too. It can put you out quick. If you're willing, to go, it can put you out quick.
I think
So
I think my music and sound alchemy or sonic tapestry are the two names for my you might say kind of elaborate music and sound bath. I mean it's not really a traditional sound bath because there's a great deal of musicality involved, but it is kind of journey music. So what I've learned from doing these psychoactive journey experiences is to bring, that music into the kind of sound bath world, and it does transport people. I get all kinds of responses from people saying that they left their bodies and that they were elevated, and it's great. It's wonderful that I can do that with music and
Hmm.
with these
and
amazing instruments.
that's the best. I think the best way to if you're going to try to do this, that is the best way to do it because it just happens. It's kind of a natural thing that you just suddenly you're out of your body and you go, wait a minute. And when you get scared, like you said, you will smash back in. So you don't want to do
Well,
that. You
yeah,
kind of want to be,
once you bring the thinking mind in, once you
yeah,
start
yeah,
thinking about it, the thoughts are what draws us back in, I believe.
yeah.
So the more you're able to let go and to just trust, then further out you go.
So I'm going to ask the scary question. Do you have any other interesting metaphysical things that have happened to you in your life?
Interesting metaphysical things. Well, I mean, I don't.
Experiences. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Well, I think sure. I mean, a lot of them have been based in. Uh, well, I'll give you an example. And this is a simple example, and I don't know how metaphysical it is, but I used to listen to this power of positive thinking tape back in the day. Guy named Robert Anthony, Dr. Robert Anthony. And this is early, this is like in the mid 80s. And was kind of getting into this whole idea of positive affirmations and to draw energy to draw things into your life. And so my friend, a guitar player back in California, Richard and I, we're like, we got to get a sound system. Got to put in this band together. So how are we going to afford this sound system? And we went into one of the music stores and we saw just the perfect type of sound system we needed. And it was $500, which nowadays is nothing. But back then it was quite a bit of money.
It was.
How are we gonna get $500? So I said, I don't know. I'm gonna use the power of positive thinking and see what we can do about that. So I started doing what this guy said to do. And basically I pictured the sound system in my head. I wrote down, the sound system. I wrote down the qualities. What would I pictured ourselves on stage with the system. And not long after that, I drove out of my driveway and I'm going down the street on my street in San Francisco, and I saw this something gleaming on the side of the road. And I pull over and I picked it up, and it's a very large gold ring with an ancient coin embedded inside of it
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
of Anticles the 14th or something like that. It was this ancient coin. I looked it up. I knew that. So I put signs up and down on a few blocks, and I said, if you lost a ring, contact this number. You have to describe it. If you describe it, it's yours. And I waited a couple of weeks. No one contacted me. So I went down to a pawn shop downtown San Francisco, showed the guy the ring. He looks at it, he types in something on his old fashioned, it wasn't even a regular computer back then. He says, I'll give you $500 for it. I said, sold. I took the money, bought the PA. And so I thought, oh, this is interesting. So then I don't know, I was looking for someone in my life, and I started to imagine, the qualities of this person. I was really attracted to yoga, so I thought I'd love to meet somebody who's into yoga, and so I wrote down and had a kind of visual of the person, and I walked out. It was even that day, but I didn't really think I was going to find anything that day. And I'm not anyone who usually walks up to people and says, "Hey, what's going on?" I mean, I'm just not. I just don't do that. Uh, but I'm walking down the beach in San Francisco, and I see these 2 feet come out of the high grasses up off the beach. And I walk up, and there's a woman doing a headstand. And I wasn't even thinking about what I had written down or visualized, but that turned out to be my wife. And we were together from that moment on. So I thought, wow, there's really something to this. So those are kind of metaphysical in a sense. And then when I started to get into the whole shamanic journey work stuff, where I would do psychoactive substances under controlled environments, I started to see how we're just basically uh, these forms aren't real that we're in. they're they're
They're
really
not.
they're really illusory in a sense. So uh, the first time I was getting these very intense panic attacks in my life, and they've been going on for a while. My heart would just start beating uncontrollably. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and this wasn't the wonderful experiences of leaving my body. It was just like something was trying to settle in my body. I'm not sure what it was, but it was kind of scary. I thought I was having a heart attack at one point. And the first time I did one of these shamanic journey works with a psychoactive substance, I never had another heart palpitation of any kind since then. The
You
very first
cleared
time.
it.
Cleared it. Yeah. So I was a
You
believer.
cleared it.
I was a believer. So I kept working with the substances for a while, and every so often I'll go back in. Every so great off, so not too often, but every so often I'll go back in and experiment a little bit. So yeah.
And
Does that
you
answer
make
the
your
question?
yeah, it did. That's a perfect answer. All of those things are metaphysical experiences. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Um, in your work with space, with the cosmos, did that music just kind of come to you while you were thinking about space? How did you connect with space like that? How were you able to pull that in and basically channel that music so that you could
Well,
create?
the music is improvised, so I don't have music for the space experience until I'm on stage doing it.
And then
Um,
you do.
I may at some point, in fact, I keep telling myself I'm going to find the time to actually record the music that you're talking about, because if you listen to my recordings, you'll probably say, "Well, what was she talking about?" I don't have a lot of music record. Some I have some, but not a lot that's in that whole ambient space. It's usually the live performance where you hear that. And but I'm when I find the time, and hopefully this year, I'm going to make some recordings. But Sonic Cosmos, when I'm doing the video editing of this cosmological experience, I usually will record something on my electronic valve instrument and loop it, and then I will listen to it as I'm putting the visuals together, and that inspires me to kind of work with these visuals. uh, it's pretty amazing working with space visuals, and I don't want it just to be some random space experience. It's a journey, and the journey will take you from, kind of in a certain orderly fashion, as much orderly as you can possibly be in space. But from someone sitting in a meditative space to suddenly popping out of their body. Uh, I guess you could say that would be me.
Mhm.
And then suddenly you're leaving the Earth and you're seeing the solar system leaving. And suddenly you're in, looking at the Milky Way galaxy from a distance, and then you're going further and further and exploring different nebula and different solar systems, different planets, different exoplanets, different moons of different planets. And it's just this expansive journey that is very gentle but yet profound. And then through the magic of a wormhole, you'll find yourself completely cast into a completely different universe. And then we find our way back through another wormhole, back to looking at Earth from above and seeing all the different countries at night, as the Earth turns, and exploring, different parts of the Earth from space. It's really, with the astronauts, they say when they come back from space, their lives have changed. Well, hopefully this experience, people will feel something similar. They, through the power and beauty of projection onto either a planetarium dome or in a theater space, and with the element of live music coming from these amazing instruments, hopefully they'll feel something similar to what the astronauts felt.
Would you ever consider actually making like a video that people could buy of this experience that people have with you in the planetariums, or
Yeah, I
so
don't,
that
I
we
don't, I
could
don't, I
be?
don't think it'd be something that people would buy, because who's buying videos anymore? But I think I would do something eventually where, well, okay, yes, I would eventually consider doing a planetarium show. Much
Yes.
like, there's a guy named James Hood who did something called Mesmerica and Beatifica. I was actually doing visuals before he came up with his things. I'm sure he didn't copy me, but he's using more kaleidoscopic visuals that are, I think some people worked with him and put visuals together. I've usually just used my own visuals, and I've now I'm just using for Sonic Cosmos space visuals. But yes, I could see myself doing a planetarium show and using the visuals that I edit and rendering it for dome experiences. Yeah, absolutely.
We would buy it, wouldn't we, Elena?
Mhm.
Well, you would go to the show, you mean, right? You don't have to buy
Yes,
the visuals.
if I could get to you, I certainly would.
Well, you would just have to go to your nearby planetarium who is hosting the experience. So
That's
if I'm not
true.
doing it live, someday down the road, maybe a year or two from now, I might create a show that could be played in planetariums around the country, around the world.
That That would be magnificent. Really, it would be.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could sell a little machine people could do in their room, like it would play your music and also put your thing on the ceiling.
That's not a bad idea. Maybe you should look into that for me and see what kind of little machine. It'd be like it'd have to be. Yeah, yeah. I know you can buy visual light
Yeah,
experiences where it projects things. Sure, you can have the music coming out at the same time. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of technology now that are going to make things like that available. So,
nice.
yeah.
I'm thinking we should promote him. What do you think?
Yeah, of course. I'll
Do
make
you
some.
ever
No,
have
I like that.
online? Do you ever have online events where people pay to come see you?
No, not really. I mean, I during COVID, I did some live streaming. I should do more live performance just on my social media pages. I usually use social media for making announcements about performances, but I really should just. I'm so into having an audience that I can see and feel
Ah,
there. That it's really it's a little bit of an effort for me to just sit down and play for my phone, knowing that there's people on the other end potentially. Uh, so yeah,
well,
uh,
think about
yeah,
it. We might be able to set up an event for you. I don't know how
well, that
technically difficult that would be, but
yeah, it's a
just
matter of just getting the right sound. To me, if I can make, the hung really for the hung really needs good amplification, a good microphone. I mean, just playing it through my phone speaker or phone microphone doesn't really capture the nuance in what I'm keep talking about. Um, but if I put the effort into putting in a good mic together, I mean, I have a great recording system here, so it's just a matter of setting it up and going live. But I also want to encourage people to come out and see me live. I'll be back on the road again, and as I said, I'll be in North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia. In this winter, I'll be in Florida and all kinds of places around the East Coast, and maybe even in Massachusetts, Selena, if I find venues up there. I haven't really looked too much in Massachusetts, but that's a territory I need to explore. And
if you
yeah.
if you keep us up to date with when you're traveling and where you're going, we'll post it. I promise you we'll post it. We'll
Well, I'm a
post it
follower
everywhere.
too, so I'll get the information.
What's that?
Yeah.
I'm a follower, so I'll get your information.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Good. I'm doing some performances here in New York State. I got one Saturday night at a place called uh, uh, oh, Jula Transform. The name of the venue is called Jula Transform. It's in Palmyra, New York,
Nice.
and it's a small town, and it's a beautiful venue. It's this beautiful, spacious venue. I did something there last year, so I'll be doing the sonic tapestry. It will not be with visuals, but it will be with music and sound, and uh, and I'll be doing
That'll be
few more events in New York State also between now and September.
that'll be Saturday the 18th.
Yes, this coming Saturday, and then on August 8th, I'll be doing something in another amazing event venue in Canandaigua, New York, and that's in the Finger Lakes region also, and that's going to be at a place called Synergy, and another, yeah, like I say, a beautiful event venue, and I'll be doing a sonic tapestry event there, and I'll be doing Americosmos. I almost have these places memorized. I think that's going to be on the 23rd. Is that a Friday night of
Let me look
August?
for you. In
Yeah, Friday
August
night.
the 20,
Yeah, it's a
it's the
Thursday.
20,
I'll say what? What is it?
23rd is a Thursday.
All right, so
Oh
Friday
no,
the
I,
24th.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
August 23rd. August 23rd?
Yeah, is that a Friday night?
that's a Sunday.
Sunday.
Oh,
The,
so
f-
it'd be
the
the
Friday, the Friday's the 21st.
oh, all right, the
Or the
21st. So it's Friday the 21st. And that's going to be at the Assisi Institute. And I'll be doing Americosmos there. That's going to be with visuals.
Nice.
And on the and Cosmos debut is going to be at the Cobblestone Center for the Arts. And that again is in Canandaigua, New York. I'm going to look at my calendar here as long as we're talking about it.
I can put the schedule up too.
Yeah, you can go to my website too. It'll be there. I don't have all my events listed on my website yet. That's just another thing I got to do, but I will get that done soon. But those are definitely happening. And there's about 6 or 7 more that I got to put down for what's happening in October.
That's really exciting.
Thank you.
Absolutely exciting. And I love seeing your success because you deserve it and because it's amazing music that you create quite often by yourself. It's just incredible that you can do that. And we like
Yeah.
you a lot. You're very unusual. I hope you can come back and see us again. I would love to have you back.
Well, yeah, I would. You mean back as a podcast? Well, we can check in again for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
would
It's
love
fun
to have
talking
you
to you guys.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alina, did you have any questions more for Matt?
He answered all of my questions. It's
We
Isn't that
funny.
like your
amazing?
questions.
When you let me talk, pretty much there's no stopping me until I finally, s-
Yeah,
yeah.
as you were speaking of that was there's a question. Okay, not forget it that.
Okay. Well, I have a question for you guys,
Sure.
Okay.
and you could each answer me whoever wants to answer first. But what is it that inspires you to do what you do?
Well, we actually do other things. We only podcast twice a month, but
And
Alina
tell me
is
the
my
other things
very
that you do, and tell me what inspires you to do it.
okay. Well, Alina is my very great helper. I was having issues managing things until she showed up in my world. And
Mhm.
what I do you want to explain to him what I do? Because I don't think I can explain what I do.
My God, what you just help people in ways that no one else can. She has a amazing gift that she shares with people. I actually see you two talking sometime off camera. Um, is she, like I don't even know how to.
More like psychic gifts.
Yes.
I think that's an understatement. I don't know.
Okay. All
She's
right.
We have it's a strange I've been doing what I do for over 40 years. It's just evolved, kind of like you talk about your music. It just evolves when you're not expecting it to. And I'm very blessed to be able to see and feel and hear of things that most people can't. Or I'm crazy. It could be that too. But either way, it
Always
works
leave
out
that
pretty
as a
well.
possibility. I do that too. Maybe I'm crazy.
no, no.
Well, pretty
Finally,
much all my life people told me that, but I don't believe it anymore. I kind of think when things come true, then it can't be craziness because I don't think crazy people get things that come true necessarily. I'm also an artist. My background is in art, but everything had to be put aside. Actually, I've been a published writer too, but everything had to be put aside so I could do this other work, which seems more important to me.
Very good.
And this girl over here, she's very helpful because she does all the tech stuff and all the Zoom links and keeping me straight.
Excellent. Excellent. That's great.
I just love to help people and animals, and so I was in the restaurant business forever, and COVID hit, and I found a way out and never looked back.
Wow.
And
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's a dog rescuer. I'm a cat rescuer. So
Oh,
yeah, I
well, I
haven't
have a,
rescued any
yeah.
cats for a while.
Have you seen my video on YouTube called Cats of Great Fortune?
No.
Nope. I'll go look it up.
Look it up and make sure the sound is up. The music doesn't come in till, I don't know, maybe a minute and a half or so into it, but um, it'll tell you a little story about cat rescuing.
Mhm.
Oh, I have rescued so many cats in my life. Right now, I have a really very nice. He's a Persian that a friend of mine gave me because he needed a home, and He's very funny, and Alina was nice enough to make some AI posters of him for our last event, which people love him better than me. He gets more likes than I do. I don't know what to say about that, but it's pretty funny.
Now, how did you guys meet?
She became one of my clients. She showed up in my door one day, or on my Zoom link one day.
And
Yeah.
how instrumental was I mean, when you showed up on, how instrumental was Angelica with your with you leaving the restaurant world and all? Were you already gone, or is that something?
I found her after, so I was already gone.
Uh,
Yeah. Uh, hmm.
Well, the day I met you, you were a mess, but you
Yeah.
know, she's not a mess anymore now. She's
No,
making strides toward a better life, aren't you?
very much so. Very
Great.
She's got a golden heart, this girl. She's really got a golden heart. Yeah, you do.
And what is it that inspires you, Elena?
much. Just wanting to help. I see the world in the state that it's in, and I know it doesn't have to be that way. And I know people can get out of it. So just to help them get there.
She's not being as forthcoming as she should be. She loves things like bees and pollination. She worries
Yeah.
about all of the bees. She worries about squirrels. She's got this funny dog she just rescued who'd been in a cage for 2 years, and she turned him back into a dog. I mean, it's
Mm,
incredible what she's done with this doggy.
mm.
He's a pit bull.
Oh,
Well,
sweet.
yeah, he's a
Uh,
pit
He's
mix,
amazing.
isn't he?
Yeah, he's the
yeah,
best dog.
I love pit mixes. I've had, I haven't been able to have a dog just because of my travels, but I spent a lot of quality time with a dog that just won my heart over in California when I would go there, and she just passed away recently. But yeah, she was a pit mix and the best dog. Oh God, yeah,
I'm
they couldn't
surprised
be
you
beat.
don't have a dog to travel with. I feel like you're supposed to be traveling with a dog.
Well, you know, I stay in a lot of Airbnbs and I stay in hotels. It just wouldn't make any. It wouldn't be. And plus, you know,
Hmm.
I've got a lot to deal with when I'm on the road. A whole lot. Yeah, to have a dog would be very difficult.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah. You
She
know,
take she
good.
takes her dog everywhere. She does never leaves the dog at all. She takes the dog everywhere.
Yeah.
It's easy
Well,
for me to do that, though.
what's that?
It's easy for me to take him.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah. Well, it's great. Animals are, they can really elevate our souls, like just like music can. There's nothing like having a cat purring on your chest or a dog looking at you just with those eyes and yeah, just yeah, yeah. And right now I'm looking at the purple martins just feeding their young and the fish jumping and I just love nature. Yeah, there's nothing, I think a lot of our issues and problems in humanity can be uh, uh, lessened by just connecting with nature more. Just going out for a walk and just experiencing the quietude of nature and not bringing your device with you. Just be without that for a while.
Yeah.
Nature has its own way of healing just by being in nature.
Yes, it
So,
does.
yeah.
It's not we've all become so attached to our phones we don't remember that we can actually cut them off from time to time.
Mm.
But it's good to cut them off, I think. You know,
Yeah.
it's good.
True.
Well, my mom was a great example for me. She lived to be 98 and she never had a cell phone or an answering machine or a computer, nothing of technology, even rabbit ear TV set up until 2 years before she died, just 2 years ago. And we used to go on these walks, and everything would slow down. She'd want to go, and she would stop and say, "You look at that beautiful tree, and look at the clouds, look at that formation." And then she'd say, "Why are these people walking around looking down at those machines all the time?"
Mm.
And so and she lived, like I say, she'd be 98, and she never even had a doctor. She was old school. She didn't take any medicines, no painkillers. She just roughed it out. In the last day of her life, she was on an hour-long walk, which she walked about an hour every day. And she got on her swing what she got on. She had this rope swinging from a tree, and then she got on, went inside, she got on the phone, and the person on the other end just said she wasn't there anymore. She just
Wow.
she just died. 98. Yeah.
That's bad.
That's the way to go, though. She was doing something she loved. She got her last minutes, not in a nursing home, not in a bed. She did what she wanted, she
Yeah.
lived and died the
She,
way she wanted to. It's the way
she,
to live.
she was pretty determined to just do it the way she did it her way. And she raised 10 kids on top of it.
Wow, that's a lot
Yeah.
of kids.
That's a lot of kids. Yeah. All natural childbirth, all breastfed. Yeah.
That's a lot of kids.
Hmm.
That is a lot.
Yeah. I wouldn't
Well,
recommend it for everybody.
did she have pets in her later life? Did she have
My
any
mom,
pets?
my mom, well, we did have dogs and a few cats here and there, but generally speaking, my mom wasn't a fan of us bringing animals in because there was enough to deal with in her life. But
Yeah.
we had a big giant Newfoundland at one point, and we had a German Shepherd Husky. We had dogs over time, but it wasn't her favorite thing. She just, she had plenty to do, cleaning and all that. So yeah,
And feeding people and cooking for them,
all
that
that,
is
all
old
the above.
school.
Yeah,
That's old school. That was, I was raised that way too, where you didn't have all the stuff that you have today. I don't think we even had TV till I was, I don't know, 7 or 8 maybe. It was, we just didn't have it. We
yeah,
lived in the country. We didn't have it. We didn't need it.
yeah. My mom would, if we were watching TV in the daytime, and she'd come home, from shopping or whatever, and she'd walk in, and without a word, she would just shut the TV off, and then she'd say, "Go outside and play or do your homework." And that was it. That was her law.
That's so funny.
Those were the days.
Um, did you ever, this is a random question. I'm sorry if it seems weird, but did you ever feel like you were connected to other beings that were out in space? Have you ever felt like that?
Well, my wife for sure. And when she passed away, I always felt this connection with her. Even now, I still feel her energy, and sometimes I'll feel this just kind of tingling sensation in me when I think about her. That feels like her energy, in some form, in some way or non-form, is still connected with me. Yeah, yeah,
She is. She's still connected with you.
yeah, yeah, no doubt. I don't have any doubt. Yeah.
I
Some
think
people
she
might have
was,
doubt. I don't mind it when people, are atheists or don't believe in any of that stuff. It's fine. It's just we're going to all have some kind of an experience when we die, and
yep.
I believe, and it might just be the experience that we gravitate toward while we're alive. So I don't know. We'll find out, won't we? Or will we?
Well, I'll just say in my world, I see a lot of different people who transition. I like to use that word better than death. And it seems to me like that they go and have the experience that they expect to have first, and then they go on to something better, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. I don't have any
You know?
problem with that. Yeah, sure. Get on to something better. Well, as we get older, anything could be better when we start to feel like we're at an age where our our physical capabilities start to wane.
Yes.
And when you get to be in your late 90s, as my mom did, it's a struggle. Even though she wasn't in any kind of a urgent care or any kind of a care center, she was walking around and doing what she needed to do. But she didn't have, she was old, and
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I suppose that believing that something is better than that is a good, easy way. Is a Yeah, I believe that myself. Absolutely, that we are really spirits inhabiting these bodies, and when the body leaves, the spirit merges back
Leaves
to where it needs to go.
Yeah,
And whether
I
we
think
get
so.
reincarnated again and we're in some kind of a holding pattern, or I don't know. I mean, I can make all kinds of conjectures. I could read the Tibetan Book of the Living and Dying, or the Tibetan Book of the Dead, or Yogananda, or Christian beliefs. I could read all kinds of stuff, and I could be in meditation and have these insights that feel real. But I'm just going to take what comes, and
That's the best way.
that's all I can do. I'm
I'll
going to
tell
take
you a
what comes.
joke.
Go ahead.
Do you want to hear it? This is a funny joke.
Sure enough.
There were there were two dogs and a cat, and they went to heaven. And God was sitting on this great big throne, and he says to one of the dogs, "You were such a good dog for your family. You protected them. You didn't let the burglars get them. You were good with the children. Please come sit on my left side over here." So the dog goes and sits there. He looks at the other dog and he says to the dog, "You are a great canine for the police department. You worked really hard. You were a good working dog. So please come sit on my right side." So the dog goes and sits on the right side. He looks at the cat and he says, "So, like, what did you do?" And the cat said, "Excuse me, you're sitting in my chair."
That's a cat.
That's a cat. "You're sitting
That's
in my
cool.
chair. You need to
Uh,
move."
I love these videos of dogs and cats, just kind of the cat ruling, like the cat's in charge of everything. When I was growing up, you never saw a dog and a cat together. So maybe those pictures that the Jehovah's Witnesses put together of the lions and the lambs laying down with each other, maybe maybe we're at the beginning of that whole era. But anyway, it's fun talking to you guys. It really is. And
And we're
yeah,
so glad that you honored us today with your presence here, and we'd love to have you back again. And
okay.
we will let people know about you far and wide as much as we can on our pages, and also with this video, with this podcast. And it's exciting, and we want to stay in the loop, in your loop, so we know what you're doing, and so we
Well,
can keep up with where you are, and keep up with your music. It's so exciting that you know are willing to share that.
yeah.
It's
Well,
music's an intimate thing. It's a very beautiful, intimate thing.
I will say this for your audience: if you made it this far, uh, yeah, check out my website. You can get in touch with me there if you have an idea for a venue for me to play. Let's talk about it. Let's look at it and see. All it takes is a door open. I'm a good closer. Just open a door. I do house concerts, all the way, everything from house concerts to concert halls. So, and anything in between, as long as it's quiet space, intimate. It doesn't have to be small, but intimate meaning that it's enclosed in some way, and it's not a lot of external noise. And so, anyway, all the best to all of you, and blessings.
We thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right, take care, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.